Merry Christmas and happy holidays, everybody. Before we jump into today's podcast, I want to let you know about some holiday savings you may want to jump on right now. From November 24th through December 1st, 2025, the Vortex Christmas Crew is on sale. This thing is half off. If you want to look good, feel good, and be festive this holiday season, there's no better way to do it than wearing this sweatshirt. Head on over to vortexoptics.com. Get one for yourself. Get one for your friends. Merry Christmas, everybody. The goal of this project was the ultimate long-range hunting rifle. We were trying to eke out every little bit of velocity that we could, and that's why we went with the 24.
And not just shooting off a bench. I shoot positional. So I'm on my butt. I've got my pack with me. I've got my shooting sticks. I'm shooting in weird, strange situations, and just to get the repetitions in.
What is up, everybody? Mark on the mic, Mr. Ryan Muckenhirn across from me. Ryan, we get to talk about guns and cartridges. Well, we pretty much do it all day long, and then occasionally we come up here and do it as well. But I've got one question for you. How are you doing today?
Medium.
Medium? Okay.
Yep.
And then
wait, hold on. Mark, I'm super.
You're Super WSM. That's right, Ryan. We're talking about the 300. Thank you. I was trying to lead. I figured I had two avenues there. Like, you were either just going to be like, give me a reply, but then it's also customary to then ask the other, well, how are you doing? And so either way, I had it trapped.
I see.
We had the Super WSM trapped. Excuse me, Super WSMs. If you're if you're watching on YouTube, we have two rifles on the table. One we used in the Cartridge Talks video, where we shot the 300 Super WSM loaded with the 212 Barnes LRX Bore Rider.
Yeah, L Rider.
The L Rider. That'd be probably an all right name for a bullet. And one, Brian, that is pretty hot off the press.
Yeah.
You recently put this thing together.
Matt Peterson of Peterson Precision, the Barrel Whisperer, hung that barrel for me just practically days ago.
And then you put the rest of the components together, and and here we are. Ryan, there's a reason. Well, okay. There's a reason why you built this rifle.
Several. One
of which being, we're going on a trip together.
You and I, buddy.
It's going to be great.
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. And here's one thing I don't like. We have to orchestrate these elaborate schemes to somehow go hunting together when we should just go hunting together more often.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Do you know what's funny about this trip? The last trip that you and I went on, we were in the midst of a polar vortex.
It was a late season hunt, yes.
This was a January hunt because we were there for New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
Up all night.
Well, we were up all night because we were trying to get some rest. We were hunting the next day.
Yeah.
But we were up all night because the people in the adjacent room were up all night. They were ringing in the new year.
Yeah. It was negative 27 degrees ambient temperature outside.
It was much cold.
We are going on a trip that we also face that possibility.
Definite potential, not as late season,
correct,
but mid-December, up in the mountains. I think we'll probably be about 7,000 feet-ish, if
nice.
I recall correctly.
I got some new gloves just for this.
Gloves or mitts?
Gloves.
You might want to get some mitts.
No, I did gloves. I thought about it. I went with gloves. It's fine. Everything will be fine. Because you know what I've run for the past 20 years?
What?
Wool flip tops.
It's not enough.
Well, so I've done it. And like, the tick bite condition that you and I share.
Yeah.
And what it does to a person from a cold weather perspective.
Well, and I think I've got, not that everybody needs to know about all my ailments, but, and I'll probably pronounce this incorrectly.
Okay.
But I think I have that, like, Raynaud's, where, like, my hands and feet, man. Whew, if it's cold out, I lose them. They go numb real quick, and man, when they come back,
it hurts like hell.
Oh, it hurts.
Yeah. So I finally bought appropriate cold weather hand gear, because I've hunted all kinds of terribly cold weather. Last mule deer I killed, it was -18 ambient, 40-mile-an-hour winds. It was awful, and just wearing those, man, and it's like dumb.
Had some hand warmers with you, hopefully.
No, I don't run hand warmers. They make your hands sweat. Then you get really cold.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, just ride the bus, man.
I'll tell you what I do.
Yeah.
As of late, generally I run. Gosh, I can't remember. Well, I'll run like a lightweight but big mitt with a thin glove underneath. Like I'm talking like when it's cold type stuff.
Yep.
And then when it's time to shoot, I just slip the gloves off
Yep.
and shoot.
Yep.
And then I put my little mitts on as fast as I can.
Yeah. So yeah, I got new gloves just for this trip.
I've got some. I've got a set of Stone Glacier Their mitts. It's like a waterproof mitt with an insert, and then I have
awesome.
a set of Black Diamond. Like is it Mercury? Something. Probably more of like a snowboarding type glove. My other tip too is whatever size. Well, let's say I've got an average size paw here, I guess, right? I don't know. I'd say like if I was going to buy a glove that fits, I would buy a large.
Yep.
I get the extra large mitt though. Yeah. I like to have that extra room. So those are my cold weather mitt tips and tactics.
It's a good play.
The hunt that we're going to be taking these 300 Super WSMs on.
WSMs.
Yes, plural. Cow hunt.
Yeah. Not like bovine.
Correct.
Yeah.
Cow elk hunt.
Yeah, cow elk.
Cool hunt. It's kind of an interesting tag. It's over the counter, but it's private land only.
Yeah.
So luckily we were able to secure some access to what theoretically should be a really good spot if we don't get too much of this late season weather that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because it could be a feast or famine type scenario.
Absolutely.
Like it could be, there's potential for it to be which one do you want? There's potential for it to be maybe a little bit spotty. And then there's potential for there to be just no elk there.
Very true.
And we have all of that right now, TBD.
Correct.
But at least we have the rifles.
That's the biggest and most important part.
I tried to convince you because I figured we'd just be hunting together. Like, why not just, we've got this rifle. It works absolutely famously, shoots like a house of fire.
Yep.
I was like, dude, let's just go over there, we'll share a rifle, and we just have to carry one gun.
Not a chance.
You were not into that.
Not even a little bit.
Why?
Number of reasons.
Which are?
I don't like the way that rifle's configured.
Dude, this thing is absolute long-range bomber.
Yeah, it's not my style.
So who cares?
I do.
Gosh, you are so picky.
Yes.
Well,
also,
you shot this rifle absolutely famously.
I did. I don't care for it.
This is about the result.
It is, but I'm also like, the design element's very personal. Like I'm super particular about the aesthetic component, like how it looks,
mm-hmm.
and then also how it feels, and then how it performs. I have weight goals in mind with builds, and I have like the lines. The lines are as important to me as anything. It's got to shoot good. That's a prerequisite, but the lines are very important to me. If I'm going to spend that much money on a product, and I'm gonna quote have a custom built rifle, it's going to be exactly how I want it.
Rifles are kind of like cars.
In many ways, they're so much better because a car you can't really have it any way you want. With a rifle,
but you can certainly even in the realm of pickup trucks, you're going to gravitate. You're going to be like, I like trucks. I need a truck.
Yeah.
But I like the way this one looks.
Certainly. Yeah. But you concede a little bit.
Sure.
With the rifle, you can do whatever you want.
Definitely a little more freedom there. Well, let's talk about your rifle. Let's what went into this thing. Because there are some similarities to this one.
Oh, there's a ton of similarities.
And that's that's one thing that's interesting to me because so much of it is the same, and yet you look at them, you're like, oh no, those are very different.
Yeah. So the heart and souls of both, it's a Mac Brothers Element long action Magnum bolt face, right? So the action selections didn't just happen by accident. That was something that, you have your pick of the litter for actions these days, right? And the builder companies that are building custom actions, they're all good, right? So whether you want a 60-degree bolt throw, a 3-lug system, a 2-lug system, a M16 style extractor, Sacco style extractor, Remington style extractor, if you want control round feed, you can get whatever you want. For me, again, because I put a precedence on weight, I wanted a very lightweight action, lightest action I could get without going to titanium, because I do not care for titanium.
I've never run a titanium bolt that didn't stick.
Correct. And so that's a zero compromise situation for me. And then,
can I say this too?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I definitely want to save weight. I'm going to select an action based on, yes, how much it weighs, right? That spot in the rifle is also a spot where I'm okay with not the absolute lightest thing in the world. Sometimes
I am. Yeah. Because function, that's the kind of second part. How that action's built, what it can do, what it can't do. Is it an integral recoil lug? Is it a pinned recoil lug? Is it a floating lug? What is the action coated with, or what are the materials behind it? And then, what are the parts like? Like what goes into it is also really important to me. And what Mac did with the Element after their Evo, which was a super successful, very budget-minded builder action that people just love, featured in some factory rifles too. Nosler's Model 21 is a Mac Evo.
Okay.
Yep. And that's a great rifle. The Element was taking the Evo and adding what I think are serious refinements to it, putting it into absolutely the same category as some of these multi-$1,000 actions. And these things, you buy them for under $1,000, which is still a ton of money because you can buy a rifle for under $1,000.
Yeah.
But nitrided everything. Everything is steel, with the exception of the cocking piece shroud. And then the bolt handle itself. Bolt handle's machined aluminum. And the fit and finish on them is paramount. Fluted bolt. I love their novel extractor design. Really, really great extractor. Lots of fantastic function. This is a challenging case to get to feed.
Sure.
And so there's like a little minor amount of work to do to the magazine to make it work. And then it just runs like a Swiss watch. But I just love the treatments that the guys out there at Mac did to the Element, and what they put on the market for the consumer, for somebody who does want to do that build, is like, I don't want them to change their prices because I have several of these actions and I want to buy several more. So keep them the same, please.
Right.
But if you're shopping for a builder action, this is it. The long action is the heaviest one. It's under 20 ounces.
Right.
It's nuts. I mean, it's barely under 20 ounces, 19.8 ounces, but their economy is bananas.
Their quality
is awesome. Fit and finish is tops.
I mean, this is a premium.
Yes.
Premium action.
Yes. And the nitride finish is effectively impervious to anything. It's also slippery.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mark, we just put together one of your guns not a half an hour ago.
Right.
Cerakote gun. You can feel the fact that has a top coat application to it. And it's not gummy, it's just different, right? Where, yeah, these things ride on bearings and they're not lubricated. So I love it. So the heart and souls of these two rifles are identical, Mac Brothers Element actions. We have them fit with Mac's bottom metal, which is an M5 DBM system. And then the Mac magazines. And if you do some looking around, you'll find some extreme similarities between these and the unbelievably high quality Hawkins Precision, because they are one and the same, in fact. And so the Hawkins DBM, the Mac DBM, and bottom metal, what I don't love in detachable box magazines these days is like a very industrial look to it.
Right.
I don't like facets and big levers and paddles, and what I especially don't like is AICS pattern magazines. So it's very difficult for me to put together a rifle that has to use an AICS pattern. Not that the magazines are unreliable, not that they don't, fill the need that you have. They're noisy, they're large, they stick out of the bottom. You shake the gun and all you hear is as that magazine rattles around the box.
They rattle a bit, yeah.
And I'm not saying that like you're going to spook game. It's just a thing that I don't care for. These M5 DBMs on these systems here, they look, I mean, they're not flush fit. They have some slight protrusion.
They're not, but they are trim. They are streamlined.
Super clean. The magazine is billet machined. So this isn't formed pressed steel like an AICS mag. And if you've worked with AICS magazines before and you've worked with what I'll call out of bounds calibers for the AICS pattern magazines, where you're doing anything odd,
which this was,
it is, you're often tuning those magazines. I mean, they're folded steel, so you can do it with a needle nose. And I don't love that because they're also expensive. AICS pattern magazines, $60 to $90, depending on whose mag you're going with. And you still don't have a finished solution. You have a solution, but there's parts I don't like. These things, like I said, billet, they're very clean looking. They snap in. They don't rattle. They're lovely, absolutely lovely. Now it is a premium magazine too. These are not inexpensive. They're as much or slightly more than your average AICS pattern magazine, but they're very clean, very lovely. And they give me at least as close to a classic aesthetic as I can get. If I had my druthers, they would make this. It would look exactly like any Obendorf bottom metal. The magazine would have the same sculpting as a hinged floor plate. Well, it's just not necessarily that feasible to do. So yeah, I'll take it. So they both share that. They both have Trigger Tech triggers in them, flat blade triggers. Now this is a primary in this one because I'm cheap, and then this is a special in this one, and it's pretty big cost delta between them. Not quite $100 bill. The performance between both is flawless. They're unbelievable.
They're both phenomenal.
Yep.
But I was looking at yours and doing some dry fire before we podcasted. I mean, there ain't no flies on that trigger.
Not at all. So I have it turned down to probably around 2 pounds right now, which is, pound and a half, 2 pounds is what I'm comfortable with. If the trigger is safe, and if you've worked with Trigger Tech triggers before, they're bomb proof. They're so good. I just can't say enough about them. Great company as well. Phenomenal customer support. Affordable. They have offerings for a lot of the different rifles that are out there, and then they have options too. So I ran, when I used to shoot competitive multi-gun, I ran flat triggers in my gas gun. And I really liked the index points on a flat trigger. Mm-hmm. And I just loved the feel. And to have that option for most of their offerings, I think is something worth considering. It changes the placement of your finger and the bend of your finger in the trigger guard a little bit too. I think there's a mechanical advantage to it versus a curved trigger. And then that little index point on there, I really quite like. So anyhow, actions are max. Bottom metals are Max / Hawkins, triggers are Trigger Techs, and then that's where the similarities end. So on the initial 300 Super that we did, I guess we'll talk about barrel if we're talking about actions first. This is a 24-inch proof Sendero. Great barrels, obviously. If you've lived under a rock for a long time, carbon wrap barrels are very popular for a number of different reasons. I don't think necessarily that they're the only way to go, because I have way more steel barrels than I have carbons. But a carbon barrel can give you a concerted advantage in some spaces, and like the idea, the premise behind this is we want rigidity that is akin to the contour that you see in front of you, with weight that is akin to a contour significantly smaller.
Exactly.
So we're not going to hang a Sendero steel barrel on there because it's going to be a 5-pound barrel. And then the whole thing is, off the charts from a weight perspective. The carbon allows us to do this. the carbon's also going to give us this very kind of dead barrel. They tune very easily. They're very tolerant, and there's like potential inherent accuracy advantages to doing that. If we went with a steel barrel, which I'd be fine with if it was a smaller contour, say like a number 4 or even a number 5, that's great. A lot of times if you pick a premium barrel, the thing's going to shoot lights out. It's not going to have the tolerance that the carbon barrel is. So that was an easy choice to make, right? In working with this gun first, because for me, this was the complete Wild West. I'd never loaded 300 WSM in this capacity or in this form. I didn't know necessarily what we were going to see for numbers.
Right.
And I was really pleasantly surprised. So when we got all the components in initially, I ran down to the lab at work and fired up the Reddings and jumped in and started a pretty coarse ladder test with, I was shooting H4831 shortcut under the 212 LRX. And I went low to high, and I went to book max plus change. And something really special happened, which is, I love to see it. I started getting towards the upper end of the load data, and my numbers just flatlined. I hit a plateau. And so from the load that we settled on for this rifle to the book max, I saw what I'll consider no appreciable gain in muzzle velocity. So where we ended up is about 28-30 out of the 24-inch gun. And to the max, which was not quite a full grain more than where we landed. So if you have a Barnes reloading manual, you can subtract some tenths and you'll find out where I am. We hit 2850.
Right.
And so picking up that 20 feet per second afforded no wind, right? Like there was nothing there that I necessarily saw better. It didn't shoot better from like just mechanical accuracy perspective. It didn't give me lower SDs. You know, it's a single digit SD load out of this rifle, and it shot unbelievably well. It's like a whole gun. Like, it's bizarre how good it shoots.
Well, and since we originally worked on this project, Ryan, and you were reloading for this project, maybe, and we talked about this on a previous podcast when we did a podcast on Barnes's new reserve ammo, which we've got a handful of boxes,
Couple right there too,
up there. There is an option from the factory if you don't want to reload.
Absolutely.
And we did swap out the one change since the original project. We did change the stock, so we had a different Manor stock on here, and now we have this Manor stock that accepted this bottom metal, and so a couple different changes there, and the rifle runs absolutely flawless and still shoots like a house of fire.
It is.
I sighted it in with the factory stuff the other day. It was fantastic.
Yeah, this thing's a goon from an accuracy perspective. Very, very, very shootable. So 24-inch proof Sendero contour on here.
And we went with the 24. Again, the goal of this project was the ultimate long-range hunting rifle. We were trying to eke out every little bit of velocity that we could, and that's why we went with the 24.
Right. What I learned, though, is that at the load that we settled on relative to the maximum, seeing zip for gain told me that I could get away with a shorter barrel,
right,
and not lose it, right?
But you don't know until
and so the big question was, okay, if I crop 2 inches off there and we assign 25 feet per second per inch, like I should expect to lose 50 feet per second off of that load that we settled on. So what I did with mine is I went with a 22-inch preferred Palma. So it's a smaller contour, so smaller diameter. It's still carbon wrapped. Different manufacturer. This is Preferred Barrels. I can't say enough about them either. Great company. You can have it any way you want. You want twist, you want Cerakote, you want contour, you want carbon, you want fluting. Dylan over there, unbelievable guy. I have a pile of these barrels in different bore diameters and twist rates and things like this, and some more builds coming. And the economy of them, they're priced right. I can't say enough about them. I knew I wanted to go shorter. That was number one. So 22 was where I settled. And I knew I wanted to go a little lighter because I had a target weight in mind, scoped and suppressed.
Which was?
8 pounds.
Okay.
And I knew I could do it, right? So I elected the Palma and carbon, of course, and 8 twists. We need 8 twists to stabilize those big LRXs. And came in and mated it to that receiver, and that was that. The stocks you mentioned are different. So from the original video that you saw us do, we had a different manners on there, and that was only because I think we threw that rifle together in 9 days.
And those guys were super cool. I mean, they got
like that.
Boom, like, you need to stock, this ought to work.
Yep.
Here you go. We're like, sweet.
Things that it didn't have that we really wanted for the final form was the ability to accept the M5. So the other one was an AICS pattern mag, which I tuned very easily.
With some fiddling, you got it to work. Yeah.
Yep. It was fine. And then it didn't have an adjustable cheek piece, had a fixed comb, and it was just a little different stock, right? And so this is a far better complement to the spirit of the build. Mm-hmm. So adjustable cheek piece, integrated ARCA rail. Yep. No real weight penalty. I mean, it's a few ounces heavier, but not significantly more. Better fit for this gun.
Mm-hmm. And I do think that this rifle, with its components, form factor, features, does accomplish the original goal.
Absolutely.
Of a true long range setup.
Yep.
Right?
And it's not unduly heavy. It's 10 pounds with a suppressor on it.
Yeah, big deal.
Yep. So not a huge deal. It's also got a heavier scope than I'm running too, and it's got a heavier contour barrel, and it's got a longer barrel and a heavier stock, so that it stands, right? It's 10 pounds. And it's not undue. For my rig, I think, is there anything different? No, that's it. Few things. So went over the barrel length and contour difference. I'm still running the Zenith suppressor. I didn't bring the other one in to screw onto this one, so forgive me for that, Mark. I wasn't even thinking.
How dare you?
I know it. So they're still running the Zenith suppressor. That's, again, another Mac Brothers product, super lightweight. It's just a tag under 9 ounces. They're super short. I run them with the brakes on them. I think it's a great idea to do that. I've also run them with the end caps. I like the brake. I shot this thing 20 times 2 nights ago in fairly rapid succession, and it was like shooting an unbraked 6.5 Creedmoor.
Which is pretty incredible because, this is a 300 short mag pushing a 212 grain bullet in the 28s. And this rifle weighs...
This, as you see it, is a tick over 8 pounds. I have to change the rings and bases yet, so don't worry. I'm going to hit my 8-pound target exactly, as I figured I would. So I will be at that 8-pound target, and that's going to be great. On velocity with this 22-inch gun versus the 24. Once I got the barrel sped up, because fresh barrel, and it's not even done yet. So
no, because how many rounds do you have through it?
20.
Yep. I mean,
not enough.
Not enough.
No, yeah. I'll give it another 50 before I start considering modifying the load. So I'm using the same load, of the exact same load that we ran out of this gun. Mm-hmm. And so I burnished in with some other 180 Sirocco's that thankfully I stole from you.
Yeah, I noticed. I peeked into your
case.
Your case there. Yeah, look at this thing, and I look in there. I'm like, oh, I recognize these.
Yeah, that was
vintage boxes of 300 short mag ammo.
That was payment. So those things clocked at $3,000 out of the 22-inch gun.
Really?
3,000 feet per second.
The Sirocco's did?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And they shot great.
And those I think those are 180s, right? Yeah.
Yep. So they were cooking 3K, which was kind of neat. The 212 LRX load came out of this gun at 2,800 feet per second, just like 2795 to 2797, and it's still stabilizing. Like every shot on the chronograph crawled with the Sirocco's. So they started low, got high. This is predictable. The barrel's fire lapping in, and then once I got through a batch of those and then jumped into the 212s, immediately there was an SD reduction and a velocity consistency standard that became established, but right at about 2,800. So it was kind of validating to my thought process. Like we were going to have a solution here that was going to effectively emulate the ballistics, even in a shorter barrel, which is also some of the novelty of 300 short in the first place. And if I want to turn it up and I want to match the velocity profile, we're okay. If I want to match the velocity profile of this, I think I can. There's room in the case to go. Like I said, I'm not on the hot end of the load. So
Right.
yeah, I can go up significantly if I want to. And so I'll give it.
I think we should at least see.
Yeah, I'll give it another 50 rounds to see what happens with the speed and let it kind of foul in a little bit. But it also shot really good.
I was hoping you might have some of those targets with you today.
I didn't. I was kind of in a hurry, and
I mean, I'll be honest, that was a saver. You texted me a picture of that target. I'm like, yeah, that's a saver.
Yeah. So it's a hammer, and it's knowing that it's a hammer at 20 rounds down the pipe. I have a lot of I think I have a lot of hope. So it'll be fun to get that finished out. That's what I'm gonna do this weekend. I'm gonna load up another batch of that. And it's so easy to load. It's such a dumb load.
I mean, it's almost like the instructions are on the bullet.
That's a really good way to put it. So, and they both seem to be intolerant to C2 depth change. I mean, you can only seat them in a couple different places in the first place, which is nice. So I'm terribly excited about it, and I'll get that 50 shot through it next week. Again, out at the chronograph, see what it tells me. And then my biggest change was the stock, I think, overall, right? So they both have carbon barrels. They're in the low 20s for length. That's great. Mac element actions, okay, that part's the same. The stock, I do not like full-featured stocks. I don't like square forends. I don't like vertical grips. I don't like square backsides to stocks. And it's
all the stuff that makes a good long-range rifle stock, right?
I think that's the thing a lot of people think makes a good long-range rifle. I really do. And like parts of them are helpful. Like there's a mechanical advantage.
I will say I've shot a fair amount of pretty regular rifle stocks at long range, and they do fine as well.
Porting the rifles, stowing the rifles, carrying the rifles, that's also important because we do that a lot. Shooting them is important because it's what we're there to do, right? But how I interact with that rifle and how that rifle fits me and how I feel comfortable holding it or not is very important for the setup, like super important for the setup. And in a solution like this, like I've just never loved them. And like I've got all kinds of rifles that over the years have had very similar patterns to this. McMillan A3s, McMillan A5s, or stocks from other manufacturers that follow those same lines. I think there's a time and a place for them, and I think that's on a flat range, like in the prone shooting steel. My take, right? I know hundreds of listeners that go field with that every year and are way more successful than I will be anytime. It's not my style. What I like is a sporter style stock. I like a more open grip. I like classic lines on the butt stock. I like that nice taper to it. I don't like this big square box profile in the back because it takes up space, and I don't interact with the rifle very well. But what I dislike about these kinds of stocks and what I love about these kinds of stocks is the comb height. And you've heard me lose my marbles on comb height many times on this podcast, because the majority of factory rifles these days still have combs that are set up for iron sights.
I know. And
we haven't been doing iron sights since the 70s. And really, we weren't even doing iron sights in the 70s. They were on the guns, but it was more of not a novelty, but like they just put them on there. And I don't actually know why. Deer rifle manufacturers, please increase your comb heights.
Well, and I put that stock to my shoulder and, got to look at the rifle very closely. And the thing that I do like about that stock, and I think it's why you selected it, traditional sporter style stock, almost a Monte Carlo look to it, but a higher reverse comb. I guess I would call that like a little bit of a negative comb. So it maintains the look, feel, handiness, the way your more traditional rifle stock carries, but it gets your cheek weld where you need it.
So what I end up with is a McMillan game stalker. And so I was introduced to the stalker at WHCE maybe last year, possibly the year before. It's always a blur at that show because it's so busy. And it kind of answered all the questions that I was looking for in a hunting stock without having to be space aged and have some weird accoutrement on it. And so I wanted that open grip or more open grip. I wanted the narrower forend and kind of a very traditional forend. It's not square, it's not boxy. I wanted the low profile in the back, behind the grip itself towards the toe and the heel. But that comb height was really important. And McMillan paid attention to those requests, and I think paid attention to the different rifle receiver geometry and then optics mounting heights. And when you look at it, and especially from what I call the show side of the rifle, like it's a high comb. Like if you come off the heel of the stock here and you look at the peak of the comb, it's significant. And there's not a lot of players out there that are doing it that high. And then that height carries through as generally higher all the way to the wrist.
Well, your clearance
barely.
Yeah,
few thou. So it's right on the money. They didn't have to notch cut it. They do notch cut some. That one's notch cut.
Mm-hmm.
So this was an easy pick for me. I like a solid color too. I also like raw carbon, but I wanted to do color on this one, and so I ordered it in olive. And I can't say enough about the guys at McMillan either, and especially Varian for helping me through the order process on this. This stock is like I said, it's the second one I've ever touched. It's the first one I've ever touched in like with a receiver in it. And it turned out so perfect that those other stocks that I had, I was gonna do all three rifles the same.
Right.
I've changed my mind completely.
Now you're doing these.
Absolutely. Yeah. Game stalkers for sure.
Well, you pulled this thing out actually it was just out, and I said, Ryan, what's that? And then you told me what it was.
Yeah.
And I was immediately like, I want that. Because we do appreciate a lot of the same things in a rifle. And boy, that fits the bill.
Yeah.
That fits the bill.
And from the fitment standpoint, the inlets are perfect. They're not a press fit. There's no crunching going on. Everything's slipped in just ideally. No rock in the action, no high spots. It's as if they took this Mac element action, put it on one of them 3D scanners, and then milled it out, and then that's what I got. Didn't even bed the action. Didn't have to. I said, let's see how it does unbedded.
Yeah,
they're pillared, so all the McMillans are pillared, and it's flawless. It's flawless.
It did more than fine.
Yeah.
Did you measure that group? There wasn't much to measure.
No. Slightly larger than 30 caliber.
Right.
Yeah. The only thing I changed on the stock is I removed the front sling swivel stud, and I installed a Spartan classic adapter in lieu of the front. And then 2.5 inches in front of my front action screw, I do this thing where I put in a gunsmith adapter from Spartan because I like to run my shooting sticks back here. So I can run them in both. I like the bipod up front. I actually, by the way, I've talked about this in the past. I've never been a big bipod guy because I've never had a lot of opportunities to use bipods successfully in the field. I've done it, certainly, but the terrain doesn't necessarily dictate that I always can. I used my Spartan this year.
Good for you.
I killed my pronghorn in Wyoming this year off of this bipod. So that was kind of neat. And it was the idyllic shot for a bipod shot. And it was great. I did this long belly crawl up this hill, and there he was. And I was like, well, this isn't a stick situation. I just unclipped it from my holster and clipped that thing in and got settled up. And
that's the nice thing about the system too. It's so, I don't know, modular, I guess maybe modular, but like it's so customizable to the situation at hand.
Absolutely.
Which we all know in hunting, like it's very dynamic.
Very much so.
And you might have to go a difference of 10 feet and it's either a bipod or a stick situation.
Absolutely.
And you can plug and play just as the situation dictates. The last 2 bears I shot, one was in the Washington Alpine. I shot off the Spartan Pro Hunt Tac. Pro Hunt tack, I think it is. And then the Montana bear that I shot last year was like, honestly, you couldn't have had a better like bipod type situation.
We've done these before. It just there done. That's it. And so that was cool.
And it's a secure connection.
It was a 470 yard shot, and I don't do those kinds of shots.
What rifle did you shoot it with?
It was a 700 custom shotgun, 300 Win Mag.
Oh, that's right, because you were using the same rifle on your elk hunt.
That's right.
Yeah.
In which I used my shooting sticks.
As the situation dictated.
Correct. Absolutely could not have taken that shot without those javelins. Or not the javelin, excuse me, the Springboks.
Yeah.
It was a wild shot. It was between 44 and 47 degrees, the shot angle.
It's a pretty high angle shot.
I was not...
Well, and the slope you were on was a high angle.
So I was on a downslope, like feet beneath me. I want you to imagine me laying on my back and sitting up into a crunch pose. And then I had my sticks on the gun with each leg approximately at my iliums, my hips. And then adjacent to me, I had my tripod. And then I run an FHF tack mountain rifle rest on my bipod, or tripod, excuse me. I folded down that rest and I hooked it behind the wrist of the stock. So on my wrist, basically, and that was my rear support. And then I had to hold that position for like 35 minutes. And it really sucked.
You held a crunch for 35 minutes?
Yeah. I threw my hand back like twice to kind of rest. So like I was in the open, and I know we're not talking about an elk hunt that I did, but can we do that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So number one, gigantic shout out to Ben, Nate, and Kyle from Divide Creek Outfitters. 3 of my new best friends. I cannot wait to be back out there this spring. We're going to go kill a bear. And
is that so?
That's right. And then I'll be back out there in the fall. And then probably every spring and fall.
It's a neat area.
Unreal. Hell's Canyon in Idaho. Premier experience. Life-changing experience, actually. And I mean that completely. So yeah, located this bull. Another guide out there, Randy. We just call him Randy Savage of the Mountain. Locates this bull with a client, Matt, who, again, we're all now like really good friends, 2,200 yards away from their position. We had to find this bull, which in itself was a challenge because he was like above us on this little shelf, bedded. And from our position way below him, he was very difficult to turn up. And ultimately, like what I saw when I finally found him, and like Ben, who runs Divide Creek, you can tell when somebody glasses for a living versus somebody who uses glass for a living. There's a difference. Ben glasses for a living. He's like, yeah, it's right there. He's running a pair of Diamondback 8x42s.
Right.
I'm running UHD 8x32s. I'm scanning this pocket. I'm like, Ben, I don't know, man. And he's like, hey, he's right there. Like, he's just taking this super casual looky-loo. He's like, he's right there. Like, look at that tree, go over a few feet, blah, blah, blah. And I pull up my binos, and finally he turns, and his 5th and 6th are about the only thing that I can see from where he's at. And distance was 477 yards. So I can see his 5th and his 6th move just a little bit. I'm like, you saw that? We get into this position, which was very uncomfortable, but the only position we had, and that bull's vantage from where I was, like he could see everything around him. And it's very obvious why he picked that spot to bed.
Oh yeah.
And so that was his day bed. You know, he probably got there, mid-morning, hunkered down and like hung out. And, that was the only position that we had that we could shoot from, because we couldn't go back up the hill behind me because then we'd be just more exposed. We couldn't walk up to him because of the terrain. We couldn't walk over to him because of the terrain, and we couldn't go above him because of time and distance. And, so we had to wait for him to stand, which he refused to do, which was just great. So that's what dictated the time that I was hanging out there. And because I knew that when he stood, if he took one step back, 3 steps forward, gone. That would have been it. And it was day 2, so it wasn't like the only opportunity at a bull that I was probably going to have. And we ended up seeing an unbelievable amount of animals. But he was a good bull, and I really, really wanted him. And so we hung out on him, and I knew that there would be like this precedence of time. So I had to be in position enough that when he stood, if I had a 5-second window, I had to exploit it. And because of the shot angle, because of the distance, because of the critter, they're tough as hell, I needed everything to go right. So I held that position as long as I could. And I think I threw my left hand back maybe 2 or 3 times just to take a little breather, but still on the gun, still in the optic, because he could have stood at any second. He had another 5x5 with him, a smaller, younger bull. And actually the 5x5 stood up first. We did a cow call. He got all excited. I watched the bull I shot bugle 3 times through my optic. I mean,
So cool.
That was super neat. First elk bugles I ever heard on that trip. Then he stood, and then I set him right back down. So from the time he stood to the time I pressed the shot was probably between 5 and 8 seconds. Yeah. And yep, so 190 LRX through his right shoulder, low on the scapula, broke right through the scapular ridge. Again, shot angle as extreme as it was, upward travel, severed the spine completely, caught the bullet in the hide on the offside, and he just went down. So super cool experience. Got to pack elk. They are extraordinarily heavy, which is exactly what I wanted. And I would have taken this rifle had it been done, but I'm a procrastinator and I didn't build it. So I dropped it off with Matt, I think 3 days before I left. And then I think it was gone for 16 days. And then I got back and picked it up. Or actually I picked it up. And that was cool. So it'll go out there this spring as well. But anyway, the rifle that I was using on that hunt, very similar lines on the stock. So it's an AG Composites Privateer on there. It's a Remington 700 pattern. The shape of that stock was vital in the position that I held, in that if I had a big square belly on the stock like this, I could not have hooked in the same way.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And I'm sure I could have adapted. Like
you would have figured it out.
Yeah, I would have found something to do. But the shape of that AG Privateer, which is very similar to the shape of this McMillan or some of the contemporaries from Manners, allowed me to lock in that rifle using the leg of my tripod with that tack mountain rifle rest as a support. And I'm not saying that like there was a premonition that kind of thing would happen, but when I look at stocks like that don't have a lot of hook or shape on the belly of that stock, those are things that I think make a difference or can make a difference with rear supports. So it's not a parallel surface on there that can just slide and glide. Like you can lock into things.
Sure. Now, there's probably instances where this would be an advantage, though, at the same time.
Could be, absolutely. But that played out, and it was really neat. And that, like I said, that was a poke. That was 477. So it all worked out. And it was a super, super cool experience. I digress. Thank you, Romulus. Where are we at? Oh, things that I'm going to change. These have pick rails on them from the factory. So from Mac Brothers, you send these little island pick rails. And on this gun, I think it's a perfect complement.
Right.
Because we have the comb height on this Manners to get us up to it. And like when you get behind this thing, you are perfectly indexed, perfectly aligned, because you control the height here. And because we're running a 50 millimeter objective on this LHT, this 4.5 to 22, we needed the loft. I mean, we only have probably 2.5 to 3 millimeters of clearance from the objective to the barrel. So right. This is ideal. So these are 30 millimeter precision match rings, top max pick rails. These are the low heights. So 0.87s. You couldn't really go any lower. You'd be running a risk. This is an ideal setup. On this rig, because my comb height is not adjustable and it can't get as high as this one, I'm actually going to swap these out to the Hawkins featherweights. So PMRs will come off, the pick rails will come off. That'll save me a significant amount of weight. And I know that it doesn't look like a lot, but like the PMRs are about 4 ounces. The pick rails are about 1.2 ounces a piece. I'm going to save that much weight and go over to the Hawkins setup. They're going to be about 2.5 ounces. They're going to drop me significantly lower and put me in like a perfect alignment with the eyepiece.
Which, I mean, it is really close right now, actually, as it stands, in my opinion. But dropping it down lower is going to make it super sweet. And you have that room because you have the 44 millimeter objective
Correct.
on that rifle scope.
Yeah. So, and that's another difference between them. We have a 4.5 to 22 LHT on this one. I have a Viper HD 3 to 15.
By 44.
By 44, yeah. I have fallen so hard in love with this optic as a premier, what we'll call it a technical optic, if you will. So not your standard low cap turret, simple BDC reticle, which I mostly hunt with in the first place. And generally in our 2 to 10 Viper HD or 2.5 to 10 Viper HS, RIP, now discontinued. Worthwhile upgrade to the HD.
I mean, this scope, the style of scope, 3 to 15, capped windage, exposed locking elevation turret, it does expand your capability greatly.
Yes. And what I really like about it, though, is the economy. So
right.
I can run anything I want here. Like if I want to run LHTs, that's easy. I also like to think like, okay, I'm spending money on the things, right? Like where's the bang for the buck? And the LHT is an awesome optic, and I own several of them. This is from an economy perspective, this is the best value. And to be able to then articulate that to customers, like if you're looking for this feature set in a rifle scope, LHTs are not inexpensive. They're an expensive optic. They're over $1,000. We hit it out of the park with like pat on the back, no shame in saying that, with the new Viper HD line. And I have no qualms whatsoever running that on everything from here on out. So technical rifles like this, where there's a precedence for, a need for potential long range shooting. Also, somebody had brought something up where we were advocating long range hunting.
Yeah, I saw that the other day, and I was like, man, maybe I need to rewatch that video to check what I said, or
no. It happens. And if you do it enough, and if you're a person that doesn't have unlimited expendable income to walk away from a hunt and then come back and do it again, when some of these hunts, like for me to drive to Idaho was 29 hours. So I want you to just think of the fuel cost to get me there, plus wear and tear on my vehicle, plus tag costs. Elk tags are expensive. Plus chow. Yeah. Like that was my opportunity. I shoot a lot. I take a lot and put a lot of cognition into the equipment and understanding of the equipment. And very generally, or very typically, I'm shooting most of my stuff between 2 and 250. That's actually the average engagement distance. My hunting partner and I calculated that one time on all the critters that we have shot in the West, which is a pile.
Right.
2 and 250. I shot a whitetail 2 years ago in Wisconsin, significantly further than that. And so it's not something that we're setting out to do. There's no like machismo. There's no bravado that we're looking for there. Sometimes it happens. I would have much preferred about 100-yard shot broadside, and I could have just dropped him right there, and that would have been great. That would have just been cherry. The opportunity did not dictate that.
Right. I mean, neither of us, and I think most people, are seeking a long-range shot for the sake of taking a long-range shot.
Yeah.
But with the right rifle and the right load that you've either tested a bunch of different factory ammo options or you're reloading for yourself, and you have an extremely accurate, precise solution, and then you've gone through the work of getting your ballistic data absolutely dialed, and then practiced with it, it's just another tool in your toolbox.
Correct. Yes. And like I didn't set out on that trip with the expressed intent of shooting something with a 4 in front of its yardage designation. Certainly not. And if you look at the rifle compared to some of the rifles that were on that trip, you would look at mine as kind of ho-hum and innocuous and like possibly inadequate for doing so. But I've shot that rifle a significant amount and to extended distances to understand what it can do and what I can do, and then what it can't do and what I can't do. and not just shooting off a bench. I shoot positional. So I'm on my butt. I've got my pack with me. I've got my shooting sticks. I'm shooting in weird, strange situations and placements. I'm getting uncomfortable intentionally, not as uncomfortable as I was when I took that shot, but uncomfortable no less, just to get the repetitions in. So,
well, and also we always talk about, wind and conditions. Like the conditions were such that shot was not a problem. And really, I mean, that shot in particular is not extreme.
It's over a quarter mile. To me, you breach a 300-yard line, and this just comes from shooting a lot. You breach 300 yards with a hunting rifle and hunting ammunition. You're getting.
Oh, you're accounting for some extra things at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a whole different story when I'm on a flat range. Like we've got our range. Like I had my Sig Cross out there the other day with a 2.5 to 10 by 32 Viper PST Gen 1 on it.
Oh, that's a cool scope.
Cold board at 1050. So I'm shooting a steel target that doesn't have a heartbeat and can't get hit in the guts and go die a horrible gangrenous death. Like that's a parlor trick. It's not necessarily a point of pride. It's very different in the field. And if I'd had a wind condition that would have been greater than 10 miles an hour, and especially in that terrain with, I mean, there was a significant delta in the elevation of that bull relative to the elevation of me in the shot, like many, many, many hundreds of feet in the vertical. I wouldn't have taken the shot because I can't account for what the wind is doing above me at that.
You'd been like, well, if we want to make a try for this bull, we got to figure something else out.
Exactly correct. I'm the first person to back off a rotten shot opportunity rather than send it and see what happens. I have no interest in doing that because that just ends up as a dope show, and then we're running around the hills all night
with just a mess on your hands.
Yes, and so that wasn't going to happen. So not advocating extreme long range shooting on game animals, not even close. And even when we start talking about the ultimate long range hunting build, let's just touch for one quick second on why this. And it comes back to an unbelievably serendipitous marriage between projectile capability and technology. In that, a stand apart that bullets like this have, when you start looking at the very high BC projectiles on the market, some of which are marketed as hunting bullets, is mechanical integrity. So if I have a 71-yard shot, and it's a tricky shot, like a quartering away shot, or a frontal, or a shot that is going to mandate that I break through structure at high velocity, which is cataclysm for a lot of those high BC quote-unquote hunting projectiles. This is one that can do it. So it carries a bananas BC. It's in
the sevens.
705.
Yeah.
Yeah. On a G1. 350 and change on a G7. But if I hit a shoulder with it, it doesn't turn to sand. It breaks that shoulder, continues penetrating, likely breaks the other shoulder, likely exits. So that is a major feather in this projectile's cap. Where these styles of projectiles, monolithics, generally fall very short, though, is at extended distances because
of the velocity threshold for expansion.
Correct. Typically, we observe lower BCs in monolithics. And then with lower BCs, the only way you can accommodate or work around that is higher launch velocities. And then you start getting absurd into cartridge technology, and we're getting giant, huge, voluminous cases that we got to stuff a ton of powder in. That's why this isn't a 300 PRC. It's why it's a 300 WSM. This bullet has an extraordinarily low function window.
Am I remembering correctly? 1,500 feet per second, which is
extraordinarily low.
Extraordinarily low.
On some of those very high BC hunting projectiles, it's hundreds of feet per second lower than them. And so that's what they're tested to hit caliber and a half diameter expansion. And so
now I will say, I think there's a likelihood at a high launch velocity or like a high impact velocity, you may shear some of those pedals.
Sure, absolutely.
But the shank of that bullet
is still going to weigh 80% of what that bullet weighs, and it's going to track like an arrow through whatever it's plowing. instead of completely delaminating and ending up an amalgamation of core jacket material separated from each other and ending up as, moon dust.
It really, in a lot of ways, does seem like a magic bullet.
It's as close to it as you can get, sort of. A lot of effort to make it work. Well, not really, but there's not a factory rifle that exists right now that this goes into.
Sure.
Whereas, if I wanted a higher BC, so let's I'm not going to go into the ultra high BC hunting projectiles, but super popular contemporaries like ELDXs from Hornady, Nosler ABLRs, the new Spear Deep Impacts, the things like this that we have appreciably higher than standard cup and core BCs.
And I'll say, I've used the ELDXs, I've used the ABLRs. In fact, that
your bear was ELDX.
Bear was the deer that I shot last year was an ELDX, and then in Scotland this year, that red stag that was probably, I don't know, $150, $180, something like that. Shot him hard quartering 2, point on in the shoulder. And I got performance out of that. That was out of a 6.5 Creed, 143 ELDX.
What does that critter weigh? Is it a 400 pounder?
No.
Heavier?
No.
Oh, like a big mule deer, like a 300?
I would consider it like a mule deer size.
Okay.
The ones, and also the region that we are in, they pretty tough to make a living out there.
Yeah.
So their body size is not that big comparatively to what you might see in a red stag, whatever, Argentina, New Zealand, something like that.
Totally different.
And antlers as well. So they seemed like a mule deer sized animal to me. Yeah.
Which is not small.
No. Yeah. But shot him point on in the shoulder and dropped him like a sack of rocks, parked him right there and did get an exit mid ribs on the other side with that ELDX.
What's neat about those bullets is they're giving you functionality without a lot of custom work. There's no need to hang a custom barrel on it. Like you go buy a Browning X bolt, you go buy a T3X, you go buy a Winchester Model 70, in whatever the chambering is. You happen to be shooting a Q fix, I believe, but we've put ELDXs in all of our guns and shot them. We put ABLRs in all of our guns and shot them. No custom work. You still get a good bullet. There will be trade somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
A bullet like this, there's way less trading going on.
Right.
Way less trading. A little bit more work to get there, but way less trading. And so that's why this selection was made, because the 600-yard shot could exist, and that 600-yard shot may not be broadside, where you can bypass the shoulder and take lungs, and you don't have to worry about so much structure. That 600-yard shot might be a quartering away, where you've got a lot of stuff you have to interrupt. And then it also might be a 71-yard shot.
Right.
And if you're loaded with the wrong projectile there, it's a zoo. Like I've been on those hunts. You've been on those hunts where, you get it and you're like, well, we got him.
But.
And then you open it up and you're like, oh man, what happened? And then you're like, well, we got him. This is helping alleviate that. And it's doing it really efficiently too. It's not a big case. It's not a ton of powder capacity in there. And it works really, really, really good. So that's why we selected that.
And the purpose of this this cow hunt, number one, we wanted to pick a critter that was like, somewhat sizable,
Yeah.
Cow elk are fairly sizable big game animal. And we've talked a lot about these rifles and this projectile and this particular setup. We've shot them into gel at distance. And now this is a little bit of a put your money where your mouth is sort of deal. And we're going to put it into practice and hopefully get some opportunities. And like you said, if we can shoot these things at 100 yards, boy, I'm in. But
especially if there's a lot of snow.
Yeah. But if we end up having to take an extended range shot, we have the setups that are capable to do it.
And what's been really cool is since the release of that video, tons of folks have reached out, and tons of folks have been successful with them. And I've gotten some awesome hunt stories out of them, and through the entire gambit of distances. Guys set up these really cool long range rigs, and they ended up shooting a bull or a buck at 125 yards. We've got a podcast listener he's probably the first guy to kill a Kalahari Desert Oryx, drew a White Sands Missile Range Oryx tag.
Cool.
Yep. Which because I told him, I said, if I draw that tag, and I've been applying since 2009, if I draw that tag, I'm picking you up, buddy. We're driving down there.
I'm really surprised you haven't drawn it yet.
I know, my hunting partner pulled it in 2 years. But he took his super out there, killed a giant cow. It was a poke, like it was a long shot, and just slammed it. Alan over at Barnes, if you ever call Barnes Bullets, Alan's going to pick up the phone. He built a super. He killed he was on a spike hunt, killed a great spike bull, great shot. Alan is a wizard, by the way, with a firearm, and will forget more about projectiles, loading, and rifles than I will ever know. So he was one of the first guys that I had chatted with that had taken something with him. And then, a whole bunch of folks all around the country and Canada that are building them. And with their own little like unique twists on it, like their touchy-feely parts that they really like. And guys have been reaching out and saying like, "Hey, got this past weekend. It works." And now we're gonna go see if it works. So,
well,
I'm jazzed.
I'm pumped, man. Hopefully it's gonna be a lot of fun. It should be, and hopefully the weather holds off a little bit, and the elks are still in the area where we need them to be.
I hope. Mountains and winter are cool, man. They can also suck really bad, but it'll be neat.
I can't wait.
Yeah. What else? What else am I missing, Mark?
Man, I think we covered it.
We have 2 builds. We have 2 loads. Are you going to shoot the reserve?
I think so.
So I haven't shot the reserve through this yet, and maybe I should.
I will say, because I chronoed it when I shot it the other day, and out of the reserve, I was not getting the launch velocity. I think I was in the high 27s.
Yeah, box is 2,800 flat.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which is still great. I mean, when you are working with any projectile that has a BC that high, the velocity retention at distance is capital. Like it's pretty crazy. Run the charts and have a smile. I know what these will do at 2,600 feet per second. And at 2,600 feet per second, they're wild. That same load that I killed that elk with in October was a 190 LRX. I'm scooting it out at 28, I think 2860 is what my like 10 shot average was or something like that. At 2,600, the 212 LRX.
And that was just a standard 300 Win Mag, right?
Yep. Standard 300 Win. Box ammo. Factory Barnes Vortex.
Barrel length was?
22.
Yep.
The 2,600 foot per second launch velocity surpasses that 190 LRX load at 400 yards. And then it's just stacking retained velocity, retained energy, less wind drift and deflection at anything past 400. So if you're at 2,700, more advantage. If you're at 2,750, more advantage. If you're at 2,800, more advantage, so on and so forth. And so, yeah, if it's leaving 2,750, it's still wildly viable. You will not miss that 80 feet per second at all. So, I should take some of the reserve down and shoot it as well and see what that does. Because that stuff is pretty manicured. It's good looking stuff. Spectacular components. ADG brass. I mean, it's almost worth buying it just for the brass, because that brass is expensive.
Right.
Really top tier stuff. Or I throw loads, which I like doing. And it's such an easy cartridge to load. It is such an easy cartridge to load. Yeah.
Either way, both these rifles shoot like an absolute house of fire. You should shoot those reserve loads.
Yeah.
Through it though, just out of curiosity, if anything else. And yeah, Ryan, man, it's time to no more talkie, more Dewey.
You know what the great news is, Mark?
Yeah,
I still haven't unpacked from my last elk trip.
I've got a compilation gear bomb of about 3 trips right now.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna need to. I'm in the midst of I need to do a reorg.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to throw in is some micro spikes. I'm going to throw in the the down pants, and I think that'll be it.
Yeah.
I think then we're okay. I'm still only bringing one tote.
Yeah, that's feasible.
I'm holding you to that, buddy.
I'll need like a single suitcase. Yeah.
Okay. How big a cooler do you have?
That's what I was thinking about. I've got one Yeti 125.
I will tell you that one bull elk cut and packaged in entirety fills a 145 quart Arctic to the point that you will have slight compression when you shut the lid. And it will take your good buddy Romulus, who's a yoked man, and yourself to lift it in the back of the truck. Yeah. It was, I wish we had a way to weigh it. I don't know I don't actually know what the yield was. I'm going to say 230 to 250 pounds.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, it was significant. I ground 55 pounds. The rest I cut into steaks. So it's a lot of meat on those critters, man. They're cool.
Yeah, we got to figure out. I mean, like in some ways, I'm not too worried about we could talk full quarters in the back of the pickup.
Oh, because it's cold.
Likely be fine. But if we want to process them up there, then it's nice to have them something to put them in.
That was super handy. Cutting for, like 10 hours straight was daunting and a bit tedious, but it's nice because when I got home, I just put it in the freezer and I'm done. And just been pulling out elk steaks and channeling my inner Joe Rogan, eating elk meats every night.
I'm pretty, I have a little bit of elk meat left, but I'm getting dangerously low.
Time to replenish the stocks.
This cow hunt is pretty important to me.
No, it's cool. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to, I'd love to recover one of these projectiles, but I don't know. I mean, I caught the 190, went through a lot of bone.
Yeah, you hit a lot of structure there.
Yeah. And that was a need to do kind of thing. I don't know that I need to do that here. Well, I mean, we'll see. The
just depends.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
But cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can have some good luck out there and come back with some great stories and more data on 300 Super WSM.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Boy, have you built one of these things yet? Have you used it? Have you shot something with it? Let us know in the comments below. We want to hear from you. Until next time, happy hunting and shooting. We'll see you out there.
See ya.
Bye.
There you have it, folks. Thank you very much for listening. As usual, give this video a like if you liked it, comment something below, and give us a subscribe to the Vortex Nation podcast channel. It would mean a lot to us. Also, why don't you give us a follow over on Instagram while you're at it, at Vortex Nation Podcast. We'd love to hear from you over there, and we'll keep you updated with all kinds of cool photos and videos from our adventures that we do here. Otherwise, we will see you on the next one. Thank you again. Happy hunting and shooting, everybody. Have a good one.